Basic movement. Moving north or west, Link's walking animation starts at 2 pixels on the first frame, then 1 pixel on the next frame, and continues in that pattern. If you are moving south or east, Link's walking animation starts at 1 pixel on the first frame, then 2 pixels on the next. And cardinal movement averages to be about 1.5 pixels per frame, and diagonal movement is always 1 pixel per frame. Wall pumping is just mashing a direction against something like a wall or a rail while Link is moving north or west. This will give you a 50% chance to cancel a 1 pixel movement and actually move 2 pixels instead, which will speed Link's movement up. Air pumping is if Link is not pumping against a specific object, and as Link is moving north or west, you can mash the other direction you want to go to potentially reset Link's movement to be faster if you're on a diagonal trajectory less than 45 degrees. If you need to move at a 45-degree angle, just holding the diagonal input is going to be faster. Double pumping is when Link is moving north or west. You can pump in 2 different directions by either wiggling the D-pad left and right or up or down, or just simply using your right hand and then your pointer and middle finger to hit those specific directions. But just making sure that in the middle, being surrounded, you need to make sure that at least it's only 1 tile wide. Double pumping will significantly increase your movement speed. And I do show a comparison going up Death Mountain here. The left one is double pumping up the ladder, and the right one is just simply holding up till he gets to the top. You can definitely see how much time the double pumping movement does save. Also showing you can double pump while moving left too if you're surrounded in a 1 tile space. Anti-pumping. If you pump in any direction while Link is moving south or east, this potentially resets Link's walking animation to be slower. This should generally be avoided, as well as unnecessarily changing your directions. This can cause anti-pumps. Door movements. There's a lot of different doors in this game that can do various things. The first one are specific doors that suck Link in super early. Other doors are known as bastard doors. A lot of these are east or west facing. Basically, bastard doors, you want to move out of that specific doorway first and clear it before you start to press any other additional directions. The reason being is because Link's walking animation will be significantly slower. Just say if you hold like a diagonal down left out of a bastard door, he's going to start that slower movement within the doorway first before you're actually able to clear it. So it's much better to clear those specific doors, then do your directional input to where you want to go. Another door movement is unlocking certain doors, and what you want to do for those specific doors is unlock them at a diagonal input until the door officially unlocks, and then you want to snap in them with clean cardinal movements. If you end up holding the diagonal input too long while you're unlocking a door, you're going to significantly slow down Link's movement by dragging across the door frame. I do show a comparison here. The left one is going to be snapping into a doorway versus the right one, which is going to be holding that diagonal input all the way through the door and then slowing Link's movement down while he drags across the door frame. While dragging across the door frame, that usually slows Link's movement down from about 1.5 pixels per frame to 1 pixel per frame. So this should always be avoided with those clean cardinal inputs. There are some exceptions to a few north-facing doors where the door frame will not slow Link's movement down if you hold diagonal through the door transition. I do show one here in Swamp. There is another one that is in Thieves Town. Just knowing those specific doors can actually give you an advantage to saving frames on those. Canceling Stair Lag. When you exit any spiral staircase, the first movement must be left or right before you go into any other directional input. The first movement needs to be 2 pixels to avoid stair lag, so 1 frame if moving left or 2 frames if moving right. After you cancel the stair lag, you can move at a normal speed in any direction, whether it's just continuing to hold left or right, or just going into a diagonal input after you cancel the stair lag. I do show Link just coming straight out of the spiral staircase, and you can kind of see him stutter step a little bit. That is actually the stair lag that it creates if you're not holding left or right out of the door. Some other miscellaneous movement. Link moves much slower while walking or dashing in shallow water or even tall grass. Link also moves slower while carrying objects like pots or walking while his sword is held out. Dash canceling. If you hold the direction you are dashing, it does make it much easier to cancel closer dash with a quick diagonal input to avoid bonking, or even grabbing an object, or even grabbing the wall that you're trying to avoid bonking into. This also works well against walls and rails if you need to immediately start another dash in a different direction without compromising good movement. To add on to specific dash canceling, there are a few particular moments where you can actually cancel Link's dash by tapping the direction he's dashing. And the reason you're able to do this in a few specific spots is because you're dashing alongside the edge of a pit. Example given toward the end of Agate Tower, or the other one shown here, dashing in Skull Woods. Dash turning is actually pretty important. It's one of the more important movements that you can have Link do after getting the boots. What this really does is it helps maximize all of Link's dashes that you do. Basically, you can start your dash and then just tap the direction you want to go instead of placing Link, hitting the direction you want to go, and then starting your dash, because Link is going to move a few pixels or a tile, or whatever the case may be. You're just wasting part of that movement if you should originally had been dashing anyway. Dash turning also helps to place Link on a specific spot or specific pixel you're looking to get to, whether it's a bomb jump or just trying to realign Link at a certain position, can really help out. Slope dashes. If Link dashes or walks into the corner of a wall or the very beginning of a slope, you will get what we call nudging. The game sees that Link is close enough to move on further, but wants to adjust Link's position to be completely clear to the wall first. This is done by moving Link 1 pixel or frame until he has cleared the corner. So it's almost always better to walk until you have cleared the corner completely to start your dash. Key dashing. The trigger to unlock is 1 pixel away from the door itself. So by aligning Link on a multiple of 4 pixels away, you will have a successful key dash, which sounds kind of difficult, but luckily walls, torches, pots, and railings are all placed on a multiple of 4 pixels. So just aligning Link up with one of those objects, the key dash becomes easy. Like I said in the dash turning portion, most of these you have to make sure you're lined up, so you can't waste that space. So you have to dash turn in the direction of the key door while remaining Link aligned perfectly with that object. Fence dashing. The first video shown you want to align Link with the start of the slope and dash down. The second one, what you want to do is once you transition the screen, you want to hit left and dash on the same frame, and as that dash animation is starting, you want to tap up. Bird dashing. After you flute for the bird, you are able to dash right, then either dash back left toward the bird on the second flute whistle, which is your audio cue, or you can walk left to be a little bit safer, but by doing so, you're still saving those frames. By doing this, you are scrolling the camera for a faster bird pickup. Bird dashing can save on average about 20 frames versus just calling the bird and then just standing still. Walking into the bird can save up to an average of 10 frames. Fluting. If you want to get faster flute selection times, you can actually do this by simply holding the A button. For an example, if you're just fluting to 1, you can just continue to hold A as the bird picks you up, and that will confirm it on the first frame. If you want to make your way to the bottom toward number 8 and then to the left, you can either hit left up, and then alternate, or simply just spam the left directional. If you want to make your way down from the top, you can hit right down and alternate, or you can just spam the right button. You can do all of this while you have the A button held, which will be much faster when selecting places to fly to. Stair dashing. In a few cases during the run, you are able to dash off of manual stairs when there are only a few stairs left to walk for quicker movement. You are also able to dash upward from the stairs. Open door dashing. The first one shown, moving left a pixel or even 2 pixels, I believe, is still safe, will allow you to dash right through the door and avoid bonking. The second one, after moving the last block, continue to hold angle down left until you clear the block, then immediately hold A and then let go of the directional buttons. You should be able to dash cleanly through that last door and avoid the bonk. New stair movement. This tech, you are actually able to save frames by quickly hitting left or right at the top of a manual staircase or the bottom of a manual staircase You can also quickly hit the dash button on smaller manual staircases toward the top to get a faster boost upward. Quick hopping and side hopping. After getting the boots, you can quick hop any ledge that does not face north by holding the direction you want to hop off the ledge with, along with a quick A input. For north facing ledges, you can side hop by walking to an edge, then quickly turning left or right and transitioning to an angle input along with an A press. Ice physics. For speeding up Link's movement on the ice, you will need momentum boosts. You can get these by using dash inputs, sword slashes, or an item like the hammer or fire rod after you've moved on the ice, and then switching to a diagonal input after using an item. Swimming. You don't want to start mashing buttons to swim until the splash animation has completed. You'll get an extra boost as you swim once that splash animation is gone, but if you try to start mashing your buttons before the splash animation is gone, it's going to slow Link down. While you are swimming though, you want to make sure that you mash both the A and B buttons. As you gain swimming momentum, you need to anticipate switching directions a little bit earlier because the momentum will carry you, especially if you're trying to swim diagonally. Pot sliding and throwing. Holding an angle input while you pick up a pot will slide Link in that direction. So when Link picks up a pot, he actually gets sweat that comes from his head. That is your cue to get ready to throw the pot once that sweat disappears from Link's head. Chest sliding and turning. Holding an angle input while you open a chest will slide Link in that direction. Turning on the same frame as opening a chest will change Link's movement to face that direction. Statue movement. When starting to push a statue, you are able to push it with Link's shoulder, even though you may be facing a different direction. Once you are facing the statue, you want to wiggle back and forth as you are pushing it to speed up the movement. Now, one thing to note about wiggling back and forth as you're pushing a statue, you want to make sure that you have diagonal inputs. That's what's really going to speed Link's movement up when he's pushing it. So don't just hold up and then hit left, right, left, right. You want to always make sure that you have those diagonal inputs while you're pushing. Also, along with that, if you tend to run into something, like just say the right side of a wall or whatever the case may be while you're pushing that statue, even if you are moving in like an angle up direction and you hit the side of a wall, that's going to reset Link's moving animation to be slower because it's only going to accept the up input, for instance. So just making sure that you're being aware of what's surrounding you or the statue as you're pushing it. Also, pulling a statue is considerably slower. Sword buffering. You are able to sword buffer to adjust Link's movement. Sword slashing one frame after pressing a direction will move Link a specific amount of pixels depending on which direction you're moving him. So if you sword buffer up or left, you move 2 pixels. Down or right, you'll only move 1 pixel. But if you are sword buffering with a diagonal input, you can actually minimize that to 1 pixel of movement. Sword buffers or sword slashes can also be used for timing specific screens. Walking on edges with pots. Carrying an object will slow Link's movement down once again, but if you carry a pot on the edge of a pit or touch a crystal switch, you will speed up Link's movement back to normal walking speed. Iframes or invulnerability frames. By purposely taking damage, you can take advantage of Link's invulnerability frames to avoid other sources of damage. Link's iframes last for about 60 frames or 1 full second after taking that damage. Hook iframes. You can also use the same concept of invulnerability while Link is in his hooking animation. Using that hook shot, Link can avoid damage during the entire hook animation out and then back toward him. In the Japanese 1.0 version of this game, Link can actually take additional damage while falling down a pit. I do show a few examples here of Link taking additional damage by a fireball while falling. He can also take an additional hit by a laser in T-Rock as he's falling. As you see, I get hit twice. And then Link can actually get grabbed by a wall master as he's falling down a pit as well. Enemy prize packs. Every enemy sprite is a part of a group. Each group has their own prize pack, meaning an ordered list of what they will drop when you kill them. The first time an enemy in a specific group drops an item, you will always get the first item in that prize pack. And the next time you kill an enemy, you can get the second item. This is a 50-50 drop rate. Each group has its own counter, so advancing one prize pack does not affect the prize pack of other enemies. Also, an enemy that is designated to drop a key will never drop an item from a prize pack, even after the key is obtained. So I do show quite a few examples here of when these enemy prize packs can come into play that are very important. The first one being if you want to decide to do the slash strategy in Gifted with Greenies, if you know you are on the red rupee drop of that specific prize pack. The next one is conserving the fairy prize pack while you are in Aga Tower. These are the fairy guards, and part of their drops is a heart and a fairy. And so at this particular point in the run, we actually want to conserve the fairy and not advance the prize pack. So what you can do is you can actually dash through these enemies to kill them, and when you dash through an enemy and kill them, the prize pack does not advance and the enemy drops no item. From the miscellaneous prize pack, obviously the arrow item is a pretty important item to get, especially if you're low in that particular situation. That's why it's always a good idea to know how to dash through the bird after getting the Master Sword, because if you are on the specific drop of the arrows, dashing through the bird, he will not drop it. So if you kill the bird the way that you're supposed to, you may not be able to grab the arrows if that is the particular drop. Another important prize pack is the bomb prize pack, where a particular set of enemies will always drop bombs for you. One particular enemy in Misery Mire will drop a bomb, which is the slug. And if you need a bomb at that point, especially if he gives you bad RNG like shown in the clip, you can just swipe him with your sword and be able to get that bomb on that drop. There are specific actions that you can do to get certain drops. For an example, if you need magic, you can freeze an enemy and then kill him with a hammer. Not all enemies will drop magic in this particular action, but most of them will. Another good thing to remember is if you are short a few rupees, you can actually stun an enemy, and after killing them, they will drop a green rupee. Lag reduction. You can reduce the amount of lag frames in a room by killing enemies or after killing a boss. You can grab a wall during the animation that the boss is dying to despawn Link's shield and reduce additional lag. Dashing through tall grass or bushes can leave items or fairies, which will cause additional lag. Try to avoid dashing into mosaic screens as well, like an example into the Lost Woods, where you grab the Master Sword, or into Zora's Domain. You can also reduce lag by holding a wall when a specific action is taking place. Example here, when you are filling the water in Swamp Palace. The grid. The rooms are generally arranged on a grid where the pixel distance between all objects, walls, chests, torches, railings, pots, etc., is on a multiple of 4. Conveniently, while dashing, Link moves at 4 pixels per frame, so this means if you stay on the grid during your dashes, you will be perfectly aligned with many objects, walls, stairs, or more importantly, doors, if you stop on the correct frame. Staying on the grid actually does help in a lot of situations to not nudge in a doorway or against a wall. Poke dash. Poking an enemy while Link's sword is held out will usually result in Link dropping a sword. However, if you hold the dash button briefly after poking an enemy, Link will retain his sword charge. Poking an enemy in this manner will also deal the same amount of damage as a slash would, instead of the normal half damage of a poke. Poke spin. If your sword is charged, you can poke an enemy, and before Link drops his sword, you can release the spin to do additional damage. Catching pendants and crystals. Catching a pendant as low as possible will allow Link to catch it faster. Catching a crystal from a boss that is defeated at the top of the screen should be caught with the shadow of the crystal covering Link's eyes. catching a crystal from a boss that is defeated at the bottom of the screen should be caught with the shadow of the crystal covering Link's feet. The crystal catches there basically save you time. Once you collect it, the crystal is going to rise up. If you have a better catch, it will reduce the time that the crystal is in its rising animation before the text starts. Now, you can check if you had a good catch or a bad catch by lining up the bottom point of the crystal with the top point of Link's hat. The closer that bottom point of the crystal is to Link's hat, the better catch you have. So kind of an easy way that I remember it. It's a little bit goofy, but kill the boss high, catch with your eye. Kill the boss low, catch it below. Text mashing. In most cases, you want to mash text with all 4 face buttons. When mashing all face buttons, ensure you have a good rhythm and try not to overlap the inputs. In situations where you can map or use an item, avoid those buttons. Cancel final text boxes with L and R, but when the last text box ends in a choice, you cannot cancel with L and R, so you'll have to use different buttons for that. Menu buffering. Menu buffering can help with pixel alignment, avoiding a bonk, or reading enemy RNG. You always want to make sure that you take full advantage of using a menu buffer in a specific place. Try to avoid menu buffering to an item where it just really doesn't make sense or it doesn't help you in that specific situation. Quick warps. Quick warping is a way to shorten the animation on the warps between the light world and the dark world. Each quick warp saves 34 frames, which adds up to be about 12.5 seconds in an entire NMG run. The only factor on whether a warp will be quick or slow is the horizontal position of the camera. For every 8 pixels, there will be 2 consecutive pixels that you can use the quick warp. A lot of the quick warps are pretty free or easy, where all you have to do is just stand in a specific position and use the mirror. Some quick warps, there are a few different ways to enter that warp quickly, where you're on a specific pixel toward the side of it to enter, or you can just enter cleanly from the far left side or the far right side. Spin speed. After receiving the boots, it's possible to put Link into a state where he's moving at dashing speed, but able to go in any direction. Once you have Link's sword charged, you want to slide your thumb from B to A, so you hit the dash button 1 frame after releasing the spin. In this state, you will not be able to use Link's sword, so you have to be careful. Also, with the super speed state, you are able to move up and down stairs diagonally, which would be a lot faster movement for Link. While in this state, if you hop off of a ledge, get hit by an enemy, or tap the A button to start a dash, you will lose the spin speed. You are also able to use items like the hookshot, for instance, while you are in this super speed state. Fake flippers. The glitch is performed by aligning Link exactly 1 frame from a screen transition, jumping straight into the water, and then immediately transitioning the frame after you hit the water. One thing to watch out for is if you get hit in the water while you fake flipper, the game will not know where to place you, and you will be stuck in an infinite softlock. The glitch only exists in the Japanese 1.0 version of the game. Bomb jumps. Bomb jump is used to push Link over a 2-tile gap by taking damage from a bomb, which will send him on the other side. There are many different techniques used to bomb jump: early jumps, sword spin jumps, and bonk jumps. For early bomb jumps, you need to be 1 or 2 pixels away from the edge of the pit. For sword spin bomb jumps, what you want to do is charge your sword, then once you move to the edge of a pit, hit back. You will start to see a slipping animation, then immediately release your sword spin. This will always put Link 1 pixel away from the edge of a pit. The bonk bomb jump will allow you to open up the distance to 6 pixels away from the edge of a pit by placing a bomb below Link and bonking at the top of a wall near the pit as the bomb starts to blink. You can also use a dash turn technique to get to the edge of the pit as well. Item dashing. Item dashing allows Link to use an item and dash at the same time. By hitting Y and A on the same frame, that will allow you to execute an item dash. A few items that are used when dashing within the No Major Glitches run will be Fire Rod, Boomerang, Hammer, Lamp. You can use Mirror, Bow, Cane, along with Hook and Quake for utilizing super speed. This glitch only exists in the Japanese 1.0 version of the game. Mirror block erasing. This glitch is used to remove movable blocks from the screen. As a block is moving, spam the Y button while a mirror is equipped to erase the block. Using the mirror in this manner can only be done indoors, but not in a dungeon. This glitch can also be used as an item dash during a block erase. This glitch also only exists in the Japanese 1.0 version of the game. Sword climbing. This technique is used on the Death Mountain climb and Ganon's Tower entrance while you have the hookshot equipped. So what you want to do is hold Link's sword out to charge, and as you hit a ladder, press Y and A on the same frame, which is the item dash. This will give you hook speed, and because your sword is held out, you climb the ladders much faster. You can also combine this technique to speed up Link with double pumping. Fire rod and hooking through blocks. When you push a block, you can use the fire rod or the hook shot as the block is in motion. This will allow you to light the torches faster in the mire segment and hook to additional blocks on the other side of one of the final rooms in Ganon's Tower. Torch lighting. You are actually able to light the torches quite far away rather than being pressed up against them. If you're lighting a torch to the left, you can light it 11 pixels away. Facing right, you can light it 12 pixels away. Facing down, you can light it 12 pixels away as well. And facing up, you can light it 7 pixels away. Double heart grab. You can hookshot or boom a heart and potentially receive 2, which is frame rule based. Dead rocks, everyone's favorite enemy. After a dead rock has been hit, you can immediately hit him again to move him further out of your way. You are able to do this with either the hookshot or Link's sword beams. Short booms. Short boom refers to a phenomenon where the boomerang travels a shorter distance than expected. This happens when the boomerang hits what is known as a search beam. Invisible sprites rapidly fired out in an arcing pattern to detect Link. These search beams are used by guards in BMOS and are most commonly hit when the boomerang is thrown directly towards a guard. Frame rules. In general, frame rules govern how often the game checks for certain conditions. One of the most common rules is that collision between Link and enemies is only checked every 4 frames. This means if you're lucky, sometimes you can dash right through an enemy without taking any damage. Frame rules can also affect enemy aggro timings, most notably with guards. An example, depending on which frame you enter the room, how quickly the ball and chain guard will aggro to you can also change. Hovering. This is a minor glitch that allows you to hover over gaps that Link would normally fall into. To do this, you must hold the A button, release it for only 1 frame, and then repress the A button on the next frame. If you release the A button for more than 1 frame, Link is going to fall. You can hold the A button between releasing it, but if you hold it for too long, which is about 30 frames or more, Link will finish charging a dash and you will also fall. Most runners that hover change their controller grip and use the top of their nails with their pointer and middle finger with a space in between to hit the A button back and forth rapidly. One extra thing to note for hovering as well too, it doesn't require you to hit the A button back and forth extremely fast. You can actually hover just fine by having a really nice slow rhythm to it as well.
It's not about going fast, it's about staying at a steady tempo and getting all the way off and back on the button. That's what a hover looks like. I just hovered the Moldworm 2 gap.
Torch glitch. This minor glitch helps with saving time and the consumption of magic. If you light the left torch before the right torch goes out, the right one will always stay lit. You can use the lamp or fire rod to perform this glitch. Also, as soon as the left torch goes out, you can light it immediately. That's a really good visual cue to use. The time it takes for the right torch to go out after the left one does is 17 frames. So a good visual cue to perform the action is waiting for the last tile to fall, especially if you are not against the left torch to use the torch going out visual cue. Despawning sprites. Very unfortunate. You can accidentally despawn the sprites in a dungeon. The jingle glitch is a data spoofing door glitch that occurs when staircases to another floor are used on the same frame that a door opens. If you have noticed that you have despawned the sprites in a dungeon, you need to make sure that you mirror back to the entrance to fix it.